Well, I got this fender off of here, and I'm just looking at what needs to be welded up. Where I made this lip, and I've got a patch right here I got to fix. This is cracked in here, and it looks like it was brazed, so I'm gonna have to try to arc weld this up, put a little patch in it. Now this is pretty good where I welded it. I think I'm going to try to notch this in several places and bend it over and weld it into the fender before I do much of anything, and try to get this metal done. This over here on the inside, it's pretty chewed up too. There's another lip that I had made here. This one looks pretty good. It's a little thick right here. So I'll try to do this one thing at a time. First thing is to get this all patched and welded up, bent over. I've got a little rust out that's left right here in the corner. I think I can cut this all out of here. Got a couple guys out there trying to pull a motor out of an RV. Neither one of them know what they're doing. So anyway, press on with the metal work. Well, here's what I did. I hammered this. I split it here, marked it with a pair of calipers, and just split this with a cutoff tool and hammered it down. I still need to make a little patch here, and I'm going to clamp this together so I can weld it right in here. I think there's brass on it. I probably ought to cut this off a little bit right here. I don't know if I want to cut this, and I think I will, because it's like paper thin. I already know that ain't gonna weld. So I'll cut this, make me a little patch to fit the whole thing, weld that in, and grind this all down nice and smooth, and then I can fill this all this edge in here and all this with Bondo. And I'll get to this other side when I get to it. So that'd be the first thing, is trim that out, make me a good patch. I got this all welded up good. Got it a little hot, and too bad. Probably messed up the Bondo a little, but that's alright. I've got it all solid. I built this piece, split it just like I did this one, bent it over, and then welded it. So I think it'll look just fine once I grind it all off, and then I can cover this whole section here with a little bit of Bondo and sand it down. Mostly what I'm after, if you reach up under here and run your fingers across it, it feels nice and smooth, which it will. So I'll grind it down, fill any pinholes, and then Bondo it. Yeah, there it is, all ground down. This fender was awfully chewed up here. But I've got it filled pretty nicely here on the front with Bondo. I don't feel anything really bad. And the lip is on the outside here, so all this stuff is okay, but I've got it pretty decent. I can just fill this up, and I think it'll be just fine. Since I put the plate inside of here and welded it, this whole area here is going to get filled up with a little bit of Bondo. But good enough for what I'm after. I got my my gap fixed and a good solid piece in there, so this fender won't be flexing or anything. Good enough. Well, that's done. I put that blue real hard stuff on here. It's not perfectly smooth or anything, but I just got it while it was still green and cleaned up the inside. I put another little coat on there. I left plenty of this out here on the edge, so I can let this get real hard and I can shape that. And it's all one good thick coat, so that shouldn't be too hard to finish off. And I did put just a little in this crack here. I think I need to grind this area out and fix that. Do a little something right here. I need to trim this so it's a round edge and not just a sharp one. But I'll be able to do a nice fender edge all through here. The rest of it looks pretty good. I mean, looking and being is two different things. I'll need to take this piece off and put the new rubbers on here, and clean up a little of this in here where it was welded, and just make everything look good in here. And probably should be painted and then undercoated. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do this. Like I said, it looks like the fender was put on and then it was undercoated with the fender on it. But I can see up there that little edge is a little funky. Anyway, I'll work some more on this fender, get it sorted out, and got my Harley over there behind the truck. I sold it, so I got a 37 Dodge Brothers truck coming. Got a 350 Chevy and got a blower for it here. This is a Whipple supercharger. So traded the Harley and some Harley parts, and I got a nice project coming. It should be supposed to be on an S10 frame, and motor and transmission's bolted in and cab's on. It's a lot of work, but it's been inside stored for like 30 years, so I shouldn't have a lot of trouble with rust. We'll see, but I'll move on this fender tomorrow. I was hoping I was gonna get all this cleaned up and painted. I didn't, but I'll get the fender good and straight. This really shouldn't be too hard. It's once I could see in here, it looked like the paint was everywhere, but it looks like they just sprayed it with spray can. It really wasn't real good. So I shouldn't have any trouble getting all that blue paint off of there with a wire brush. And I think I've got my red paint, so probably what I'll do is just go ahead and paint all this in here red, and the inside of the fender at the same time. I should pull the hood and the trunk, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to mix enough paint here to paint all this inside in the fender. That'll tell me what the paint's going to mix like and shoot like, and then I can put all of it back on, and I won't have to worry about taking any of this stuff off again. Well, I kind of cleaned this whole area up here. I whittled that one down that I did yesterday, and I made me a little piece that'll kind of clean this transition up, and I'll go ahead and weld this in here. It's not fitting real well, but once I tack it, I'll get those edges to match, and I'll go ahead and whittle this down, and then I'll fill all this area in here where that bad lip was with Bondo, and I'll have a pretty good edge across here, and this will have a decent transition and weld down. I think this bottom of this fender is alright. Looks okay. Well, I welded this little piece in here, front and back, ground it down pretty good. Looks like I got a little bit of a curve right in there. I'll dolly that a little straighter. I don't really think it makes much difference because it's on the bottom of the car, but I'll straighten it up a little, and I'll Bondo up this. It all looks pretty good. Looks like I got a little Bondo into where the headlight bucket goes here, but that's not too bad. And I did break one of my screws that holds the headlight bucket in. I'll have to see what I can do about drilling that and tapping it again. It's not the best in the world here. This bracket I welded, it looks like I need to squish this one here and weld it a little bit too. I think I've got a loose bucket. I'm not sure. But this is a part that goes down into the stone guard and the valance. So I think I'm gonna kind of hammer this out flat and try to weld it a little in here before I get too carried away. But this part here is good. I can get this all bondoed up while I'm playing with this other section. See how that looks. I got this all ground down and welded around the corners. Again, it was brazed, so had a little trouble doing that, but I got it welded pretty good on both sides, and got it hammered out what I think is pretty straight. I can tweak it a little once I get it up in there and see where that valence is at. I had like 1/8 of an inch of bondo right here, so I took it all off. It looked like my braze right there is cracked, but it's strong, so it's probably welded here on the good, and I did put a little good in the back. I did put a little arc weld on there. It's kind of hard to tell, but overall it looks straight. Looks like I could probably put a little more weld right in there. And next thing, I guess, try to drill that little bolt out of there. It was rusted enough it broke, so I don't know what kind of luck I'm going to have with that. Well, what I tried to do is put a little weld on the bolt. It was coming out, and I decided to reverse it, and that's when it broke, when I tried to tighten it. But hopefully that heat, and I put quite a bit of WD-40 on it. Maybe I can get hold of that lump I welded there with the channel locks and get it out. I did that a couple times. I did manage to get it welded on, and it looks like I've got the little bolt to turn, so I'll just have to patiently work it back and forth like this. Looks like it gets a little better every time. I really don't want to break it off again. Looks like my vice grips came off, so now let's keep working it. Looks like I want to get it out. I just kept moving it back and forth with WD-40 in it, and finally got it past the rust spot, and the bolt came out. So pretty good success. That's usually, if you got enough bolt to weld on, that's usually the best way to try to get a broken bolt out, is weld something on it. This one here I was kind of worried about because it was flush against the thing. I didn't want to get any weld on the nut, but it looks like I had some success there. So good. I'll clean that up there and move on with the rest of this. Moving forward, trying to get this done. I got this splash apron off of here, and all the little rivets or actually staples and all that junk off of it. Got it straightened out. I've got quite a bit of rust up in here. It was bent a little, not too bad, but I've got it where it looks like it'll go on good. Well, it will go on good. Just I'll have to see if that kit I got has the staples in it. I assume the best way to do that would be just clamp the rubber onto it and drill holes for the staples. I think these look like they were done by hand, so I doubt if the holes will match up. Anyway, this is kind of cleaned up. I can get in here with a wire brush and finish up all this stuff. Throw some rust coat in it, and I'll check my little kit and see if I got any staples in it. Oh, it looks pretty good. I got a lot of primer on it, particularly right here in this area. I missed a little in the front there, but I got it all good up under there. And this area is real nice. And I got the top of my fender here. So I didn't clean up any of that there. I figured I'd just try to get it primered, see what happened. I did find my kit with rubbers, and they do have the staples. I took this and cleaned that up real good, straightened it, just ready for the rubber. And I used what was left of my primer to start working on this fender. I'm not done by any means, but that's a pretty good lick for today. That's all welded. I got that welded and straight. I still need to clean these edges and paint it, but as far as what I need to put the fender on, and like that must have been my 289 holes. These are probably Mustang holes here. Anyway, a lot of it's done and primed. At least it's good enough to put it on and start getting it straight. And I'll call it quits for the day. Now I started moving on with this rubber here for the front housing. I cleaned it up, straightened it a little, and I just took a drill and drilled through the metal holes and into the rubber. I held it with a clamp. You can see what's happening there. And now I'll just hammer these over. I put it in with a pair of needle nose pliers. I don't know whether I'll put a little dolly on it, probably on the back right here, and try to hammer it over. I'll see what happens. Well, I tried 2 or 3 techniques, none of them worked, and I come up with this one using the welding channel locks, and you hold it in the middle. The first one I did, I just pushed it right through the rubber, but you hold it in the middle tight and then bend these things over to the outside. The problem is you can't put it on a anvil or anything and hit them, because they just move around. So I drilled this one here. I'll put a staple in it and show you what I mean. Alright, so I got a staple in it. The back of this clamp is holding a staple. Now I can get a little pair of needle nose, and I can bend that over a little and get it started, and then I can take a little hammer and hammer it down flat. Of course, the first thing is just getting it started, and I'll hammer that down and use both hands. I'll bring it back. I got that one hammered. Now what I'll do is take my clamp off, turn it around so I can hit the other one. So I just rotated it around where I can get into this side of it, and bend it down. Now I can take my hammer here, bend that over. So it's not the best in the world, but it's in, and it's holding pretty tight actually. This is what I got here, and from this I can put a C-clamp on it and squish it down flat. Again, you can't really put an anvil on it and hammer it, because the thing just rotates around and flattens, and you can't get anything done there. So I don't know, it's not very pretty, but at least the staple's in and it's holding the rubber, which I think is the main thing. They must have some kind of machine to do this, but this is the only way I found out of 4 or 5 things that really is kind of working. Well, there it is. They're all in. Maybe not the prettiest job in the world. It goes pretty fast once you get the technique. Just put it in and clamp it close to one edge with the welding pliers there. Bend it over, move it around, and clamp the other one. Good enough for what I'm trying to do. Probably ought to spray that with a little paint or something before I stick it up in there. Well, there it is in. Looks pretty good. Sealing all the way around. Probably squirt a little undercoat in there. I'll clean up this where the edge of the lip here, where the old foam rubber was. But I'm going to go ahead and now that I know the technique, I'll try to put the rubber on this one, and I'll mount it up here in the fender where it's supposed to go, and then I'll try to put the fender on. This primer turned out really nice. It's good and hard. I'll have to pull this fender off one more time to paint all this red, but this will be the one where I put the final adjustments and Bondo on it. I'll see what I can do by getting this rubber on here. Well, I got this inside fender brace on. It's about the same. Now there's a top rubber that goes on here, and I couldn't really see how it was supposed to go. It's gotta go in there, best I can tell, all the way up to the edge. And this is supposed to line up with a fender cut. So I'm not exactly sure how to put this in. So I'll just try. I know that end there, I put it up in the fender, and that's where it needs to go. And this one here is supposed to line up with the fender curve in there, right through the grease that goes along it. So I guess I'll just put it on the end, and then maybe one in the middle, and set it up in the fender and see what it looks like. Well, I got it all on. It don't look the best, but I got the top edges up here kind of matching. I don't think it's really gonna make a lot of difference. It goes in here somewhere, right about where that bolt is, but it looks like it's folding over pretty good, and the fender thing is lining up. So now we'll put it on the car and see what happens. This top piece was kind of funky, and it's supposed to go up under the fender part here. It looks like it fit, so I'll figure out what bolts I need and put that back on, and I should be able to kind of set my fender on here and see what's happening. It went on good. The little flap under there is flapping. These are out away from the fender. The little bolts and everything went in it good and straight, tightened down. So I think this is good enough. Hopefully I'll have enough room in here that this will fold over and do something. But I think it's all good. It took quite a while to do, but the other one was just see down there, just rotted and crushed. So I guess the next thing would be to try to put the fender on it and see what it looks like. Well, Mr. Fender went on quite well. Still lining up good. It's just a little high right here, but it don't have this one bolt in it, which will probably pull it in a little. But everything else here looks good and straight. Of course, I haven't closed my hood or anything to see how straight that is, but it don't really make much difference. It's still moving around here, so I'll have to sort that out. Got a little bit of patch to do right here where I burned it up welding it, but the rough edge that I got is still real good. I got it matched good down there at the bottom. So fender's in, and apparently all my weather seals were working out right. So I think this is I could probably work on the Bondo a little bit on this. I might do that, just board sand it again and put another skim coat. But I want to get everything all bolted down where it's supposed to go, and a few more bolts in it. I just got one in the back and one up here towards the front. Make sure this front and valence and everything is all lining up and bolted down before I try to do any final work on this. But it went right on and tightened up to 3 bolts, and it's holding it real straight. So I think I'm good to go on this. Next time I take it off, I'll paint the inside of it, undercoat it, whatever I need to do there. But looks good and it's straight. And I got my a new striker plate and a new door latch mechanism. This one was pretty chewed up. Maybe I'll do that. I'll take this out and put that new door thing in there. But I've got it here, the hinges, so it's setting flush, so I don't think I'll have any trouble with that.